The Monsterverse started off as a relatively grounded universe, and over time, just like in the original franchise, it allowed itself to expand much more into what it is today, such as Godzilla 1954 being a dark and gritty science fiction, to then having Godzilla do this. In Godzilla 2014, it was a dark and cold setting where the only monsters were Godzilla and a male and female Muto. Then Kong Skull Island came out and the end credits revealed its connection to 2014 and even expanded upon it. Then in King of the Monsters, it's shown to have introduced an entire ecosystem of titans, giant monsters just like Godzilla, and even having aliens introduced such as Godzilla's iconic rival, King Ghidorah. After that was Godzilla vs. Kong, where it revealed the origin of the Titans, which is literally the Hollow Earth theory, and even had Mechagodzilla as the main villain, having King Ghidorah's third head Kevin connected to it. And now for the upcoming Godzilla x Kong The New Empire, it's revealed that Kong's species is still alive and revealed a main villain, another gigantic ape-like Kong, but resembling an orangutan wearing a whip made out of a spinal cord, the Scar King, and revealing another Titan who seems to be one of the more special ones like Godzilla, an ice titan named Shimo, who can literally breathe ice, and also Godzilla's pink. So it's safe to say that the Monsterverse has gone from a kind of hard, dark science fiction to a more expanded on action adventure science fiction, which I absolutely love about it. But the reason why I talk about this change of a mood or a setting throughout the Monsterverse is because of an iconic villain that many fans for years have wanted in the Monsterverse, Destoroyah. In the Heisei era, Godzilla's fought many villains that can seem a bit outlandish, if that's the right description. A plant-human Godzilla hybrid, a three-headed dragon alien, the same alien but a cyborg, a robot version of himself, and another version of himself, which was when his cells got sucked into a black hole, etc. But a kaiju that I think can really match the setting of the 2014 movie and bring that type of dread to the Monsterverse is Destoroyah. Destoroyah was very grounded in my opinion. Instead of becoming spawned from some crazy circumstance like Godzilla's cells mutating from a black hole, instead his origin spawned from the same circumstances that brought on the original Godzilla. Just like how the bombs mutated a creature, causing a destructive near-divine being to be created from it, the very weapon, the oxygen destroyer that took out the first Godzilla, would mutate a colony of Precambrian crustaceans. Crustaceans that evolved during a time when the Earth had no oxygen at all. They'd remain hidden and dormant underneath the Tokyo Bay, but 42 years later, in 1995, construction would end up releasing these creatures and they'd run rampant throughout Tokyo, mutating and combining into one of Godzilla's strongest and most terrifying villains, Destoroyah. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, during Godzilla's second fight with Ghidorah, the military would use the oxygen destroyer on them both, to at least attempt to injure Ghidorah somewhat, but it would backfire immensely as Godzilla was the one wounded from his activation, and King Ghidorah seemed to be completely unaffected by the device. And I think this sets off a perfect starting point for Destoroyah's origins. I've heard people speculate and theorize other ways that Destoroyah can appear, whether he'd be a hidden titan in the Hollow Earth, or he'd be another genetic experiment by Apex gone wrong, but I think what works for him perfectly is him being the colony of the mutated crustaceans. There's a type of symbolism in his origin, both the original Heisei origin and my own speculative origin for the Monsterverse, being spawned from a last-ditch attempt to wipe out a monster that is becoming a threat to humanity, but instead would wound up spawning another, Godzilla being seen as a god and Destoroyah being seen as a demon made to fight him. And with the speculative Monsterverse version, there's the irony in attempting to destroy the invader, almost killing your best chance for survival, which was Godzilla, and ending up creating another monster who is far worse than the one before. A lot of people viewed the oxygen destroyer as a waste in King of the Monsters, but I think it has a potential for something like this. I mean, a lot of fans straight up forgot that the oxygen destroyer was used in King of the Monsters, so it'd be crazy if they had Destoroyah in a potential movie and used this moment as an origin, as it remind all the fans the use of the oxygen destroyer. One of Destoroyah's main abilities is the fact that he's not just a singular organism, but an entire colony of smaller organisms that, instead of having a hive mind, would instead combine and morph into a singular representation of the entire colony. I think this would fit really well into the Monsterverse, as there is another titan that is a bit similar to Destoroyah, being Genitor. Genitor is a titan that can control other smaller Hollow Earth fish. In its short fight with Godzilla, well, not even really a fight, it was shown that it's a hive mind, and killing the hive mind would then stop the fish from attacking, but would result in the fish eating Genitor's body. Now I know I said that Destoroyah isn't the hive mind, but instead the amalgamation of a bunch of smaller organisms. I believe that a creature like Destoroyah is definitely within the bounds of the Monsterverse, as I've heard other fans say that it isn't plausible and it wouldn't make sense. Even though we have an alien that just so happened to be reptilian like the other Titans and Mechagodzilla exist. So if these things are possible within the universe, Destoroyah is 100% possible as well. He could even serve as some type of narrative in case the Monsterverse ends, like a hypothetical final movie for the Monsterverse, and as a callback to the use of the Oxygen Destroyer, could have Destoroyah, the Titan who will destroy Godzilla, as in the Heisei era, Destoroyah was Godzilla's strongest rival, and it makes sense narratively if he was. Also signaling the end for Godzilla. Back in 1995, it was a big event for the Heisei era. Even in America, they broadcasted it as the end of Godzilla. The only other time before that was when the 1984 Godzilla movie came out. Story-wise too, it was the end for Godzilla, as Godzilla had absorbed too much energy and was on the verge of a meltdown, which could have destroyed the entire planet. There's also this symbolism, as Godzilla has always been revered as a god and could have stomped out anything in his way, while Destoroyah was basically a demon, both in his design and story-wise, as in a lot of cultures and mythologies, demons are spawned from some sort of negative action, which is of course when the Oxygen Destroyer was used to take down the first Godzilla. I'm not saying it was negative itself, but it could also be seen as a symbolic representation of it, also inflicting so much physical damage on Godzilla as he was the strongest villain in the Heisei era, and inflicting a lot of emotional damage on Godzilla by presumably ending his son's life. While we're on the topic about physical and emotional damage to Godzilla, I'd also like to point out how the use of Destoroyah's micro-oxygen beam can also tie into when Godzilla was nearly killed by the Oxygen Destroyer, and it should be more than capable enough of damaging Godzilla physically and even reminding Godzilla of that time when he almost lost his life to it. There's also the chance of using other titans for this hypothetical scenario. Shimu is one of the strongest titans in the Monsterverse, and her main ability is controlling ice, and it is strong. Just in the trailer, her ice beam was able to push Kong back, who was blocking her ice beam with the axe. And it's possible that Godzilla has a power-up just to fight Shimu. Presumably, we still don't know yet. There's a chance that since one of Destoroyah's main weaknesses is ice, or just really cold temperatures in general, a hypothetical scenario would be having one of the strongest titans to use her ability to take down this hypothetical Destoroyah, like in Rulers of Earth, Kiryu's Absolute Zero Cannon was used to take down Destoroyah. When it comes to the design, I'm sure it can remain somewhat the same but with added on details. Rodan had a great design, obviously based mostly on his Heisei version and a little on the Showa era, with added in details like his burning scales, which fits his nickname the Fire Demon, and the fact that he woke up from a volcano. Ghidorah had a bit of an upgrade from the Showa and Heisei era, having him be more of a wyvern type dragon, which I thought was a great idea, and it kind of made him look a bit more alien to me, even though we see bats crawling like that. I did like Mothra's redesign, but I feel like they kind of made her more spindly, like an actual insect, which yeah, I can get, and it looks great, but I feel like it kind of took away from the fact that she's supposed to be a moth, and instead appeared more like a wasp or a hornet. But I still think she looked amazing though. I think a design for Destoroyah would be having him be based on the Omnidens. An Omniden is an extinct species of large Cambrian animal, originating from the Cambrian period, which was basically the beginning of life, with almost all the major groups of life evolving in a pretty short time, which was around 40 million years, which yes, is pretty short compared to Earth's age. Destoroyah is the amalgamation of crustaceans that evolved before the Cambrian era, so having his design have a more Cambrian creature arthropod design, I think would really fit with him just so well. You can have the crawling form kind of resemble an Emeraldella, or a Morella. You can have his flying form kind of resemble an Anomalocaris, or you can have a swimming form that resembles that as well. Maybe even have a form that resembles a Hallucigenia. There's also the aggregate form that's larger and has the 2 legs. You can have that one have elements of an Opabenia. There are fans that don't want Destoroyah in the Monsterverse, which I can fully understand, but this is how I'd go if I were given the possibility of putting Destoroyah in the franchise. I do plan on making more Godzilla content, and I do plan on making more power scaling videos in the future, because back in like middle school to early years of high school, I was in the Google Plus power scaling community and it was insane. I really want to start making my schedule more consistent. I know I've been putting things off a lot, but I'm going to try to make my videos and my content on a weekly basis. So if you guys want to see some more Godzilla videos and power scaling videos, please let me know, as I do plan on making them. Thanks for watching. Join my Patreon. Tell me what you think in the comments. I got links to my socials in the description. Please be kind to yourselves and each other. Thanks for watching.